Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This week is going to be a little bit of a flip-flop. In case you're wondering, I am driving in a car, although today I am the passenger. But we have driving today.
Doug Sandler. This is fun. But I don't like when you say we're driving and the word flip-flop in one sentence.
Right. Well, we are driving back from a weekend up in Esalen and doing the Imago Therapy workshop. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can come on over to Women, Men, and Relationships, where we're going to do a full-blown recap as well as help promote some of the lessons and teach people what we learned and what's working, what's not working, debate some of the sciences and all that good stuff. But so the flip-flop is that today's show, which is normally an interview, is actually going to be a Q&A. The Thursday show this week will be an interview for most channels except for Women, Men, and Relationships when we're doing our download with Mr. Michael Neely. Okay, so today's Q&A comes from Jane, and Jane says, I've been a silent student of yours for about 2 years now, and something inside of me is urging me to contact you. About 2 years ago, I discovered your blog when I was trying to decide to leave a 6-year relationship where I thought I would be my happy ending. Ever since, I've been a big fan, and I still listen to every episode, except the ones with Doug.
I wonder if she meant happily ever after, because when I go out, normally I'm looking for a happy ending. However, she's looking for maybe a happily ever after.
Probably right.
And what's the comment about she doesn't like to listen when
She did not say she doesn't like to listen.
Oh.
She just said she listens to every episode except the ones with you. So,
I
which
wonder
means
if
she doesn't listen to Women, Men, and Relationship.
Oh, okay. So I take no offense, Jane.
Well, we don't know whether or not she likes you or not. This is not clear, and it's okay, Jane. You don't have to respond. I have done one of your manifestation challenge. On the last day, I met someone I truly like. Although it is ending, I think it was such a big step towards where I want to be. I've also purchased the virtual ticket to the next big step.
Yay.
And use the clearing when I feel is needed. I guess the reason I'm contacting you is to thank you for being my source of support and guide to the transition I'm going through now. I also had a few burning questions I wanted to ask along the way. Now, there are 3 questions, and I'm not going to answer all 3 of them today, Jane, because I wanted to keep the show a little shorter. I wanted to make sure I did produce a show, and I wanted to start answering your questions because I actually have a whole list of other questions, too, from other people that I haven't even answered yet. So let's get to it. So I'm not going to answer number 1, which has to do with more diet-related things, because that show can actually go on nutrition and alternative medicine as well. So we're going to skip to number 2. Number 2, I just completed a 10-day Vipassana meditation course. I was wondering if you know anything about them because I wanted to know your opinion about the technique. I generally agree with the concept of how emotions are stored in your body, and you have to acknowledge it to let it go. But the concept of Vipassana is not to get attached to good or bad feelings so you don't seek or avoid them. I also know you mentioned that when you visualize, you have to have the emotion but not get attached. I just wanted to know more on how I can marry the 2 concepts in my head. Before I answer this question, Doug, do you have anything you'd like to add, say, or ask about either the question or the path we're about to walk down? Now, I'm going to be answering the question mostly, but I just thought I'd ask you what your thoughts were now.
Meditate. Let's see. I like the hot yoga. That's all I know.
You've done hot yoga?
I did it once, and I almost passed out.
Yeah, it's not good for you.
No, I'm glad somebody finally confirmed that it's not good for
not
you.
good for you.
Because when I was losing consciousness, I felt like this can't possibly be good for you.
Yeah, no, your intuition was right. It's not.
But this has nothing to do with that. But it does involve meditation, correct?
Yes, and honestly, Jane, I haven't done Vipassana. I know about it, but I haven't done it. So all I'm going to be able to answer is from what you have written, and the concept of not getting attached to good or bad feelings so you don't seek or avoid them. That's called death. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about it from a law of attraction standpoint as well as a physiological standpoint. I don't believe that we want to live in a neutral state. Meditation, I believe, and based on the work of law of attraction, is to get you into a non-resistive state. And a lot of people use meditation in different ways. So, for instance, some people use meditation to slow down the thoughts in their head. Let's talk about that for a second, because you, Doug, you used it that way, right?
Yeah. We did. I did 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. It was mindfulness meditation. And that went into love and kindness meditation, that went into mantra meditation, and all 3 of those was a way for me to just kind of wipe out that. Now, you can't wipe out the monkey brain, but it does allow you to redirect your thoughts in a way that will help you regain control of the process of which understanding those thoughts as they come through your head. They are just thoughts that come and go, and there's nothing you can do to control them coming in, but you can always come back to center by, especially mindfulness meditations, when you're focusing on your breath. So yes, that was good, and it did create a lot of clarity for me in my life.
So in that answer, I was actually thinking about a book that I really love. Michael A. Singer wrote The Untethered Soul. Great book if you haven't read it, everyone. And it's probably one of the best opening exercises in the book to explain our relationship with our thoughts, with our consciousness, and the difference of thinking your thoughts and being and believing your thoughts versus being an observer to your thoughts. He talks about it the being the I, who is being the one who is aware of you or aware of your thoughts. You aren't your thoughts. You're the one who is aware of your thoughts. Anyway, it's a great book, but it is that detachment from whether it be your unconscious mind with noise and the monkey mind, whether it be a story that you're used to telling yourself that you've practiced. I believe that meditation can, again, slow down the brain, slow down the mind. It can bring you present into your body. It can bring you into a non-resistive state, which for law of attraction is great, to allow things in and to sort of reset, especially if you're in a negative momentum. But nobody wants to stay in neutral. I don't believe that anyone ever makes a choice about your life because you want to not feel anything. I think you want to feel good. I think you want to feel joy. You want to feel freedom. You want to feel love. You don't want to be an observer of love without feeling love. You want to feel love. It's the difference of managing when your unconscious mind, or when your triggers, or when your traumas, or when monkey brain or anxiety or feelings come up for you that take you away from positive feelings. How do we handle that? So again, I don't know Vipassana meditation at all. Maybe I've done it, maybe I haven't, I don't know. But I understand going into doing a process which allows you to disconnect from your thoughts in a way to make you an observer, which gives you a lot of power and gives you a lot of stability and centeredness in a non-reactive state. I've done a lot of hypnosis that has allowed me to retrain my unconscious mind to be more of an observer. I've done more EMDR, eye movement desensitizing reestablishment, to break down and, again, reestablish patterns or reactions to certain stimulus that I've had in the past that would produce a really large emotional, physical, biochemical response. And through EMDR, there's been a desensitizing, a detachment from that response physiologically and neurologically, so that you actually can, again, be an observer of your thoughts and feelings versus be a reactor. Because I think that when we're in that reactivity, we do not have a lot of power. We follow patterns that we've had in the past that lead us places we don't want to go. So back to not getting attached to good or bad feelings, I think that I agree that it's a tool to help you stay conscious and aware that you are not your thoughts, that you are the thinker of your thoughts. And then you get to choose which of those thoughts you may want to express or may want to interpret into a situation which could produce a feeling for you. And hopefully it'll produce a positive feeling. But I don't believe, and maybe they do, I don't know. I mean, are they saying that you should never feel anything? There's a difference between using meditation, because on the flip side, there's a show that I've done. It's called Healing Back Pain. And I don't know what number it is. It was on the regular Fit to Love channel, but it was an interview I did with one of my friends years ago, to give you the scenario, he is a gay man who's Indian, and his parents didn't know he was gay. And we didn't really talk about him being gay on the show, but it's not a secret. But he had debilitating back pain for, I think, about 2 years. So much, though, that he was living in New York. I think he'd come out to LA and he couldn't leave for like a month because he couldn't sit on a plane. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said he had a bulging disc, and the bulging disc was pinching a nerve. So he was scheduled to go to surgery, and then somebody gave him Dr. John Sarno's book about healing back pain. And it kind of, if you're not ready for it, it makes it sound like possibly your back pain is in your head. So he didn't like that. He threw it away. Then, it happened again and again. And finally, he read the book. And after he read the entire book, 50% of his back pain was gone after 2 years between physical therapy, yoga, Pilates, and everything else. The pain had never gone away. It just subsided. But what it taught him was that his back pain was a reflection of his internal rage and anger that he was holding from his parents. I mean, he loves his parents, but from not telling them, from feeling possible shame or a fear of being shamed and shunned for his lifestyle choices and for his, his sexuality. And he was someone who meditated all the time. It was part of his culture. And he's if you felt him or was near him, his energy was very positive. You would never think he was an angry person. So here's, again, a good example of someone who's got some really deep-seated emotions that are so stuffed so deeply that, and he's a Gemini, so let's talk about astrologically, he's not necessarily always connected to his thoughts or his feelings. He's not really paying attention to them. He's definitely not letting them out, or he wasn't at the time. I don't think his anger, he might have had agitation, but he's not somebody that you would say that guy's got a lot of anger. So he used meditation to stuff and keep stuffing down this anger until it was ready to come forth. So I think there's a balance between why are you using meditation? Because meditation can be dangerous if you're using meditation as a tool to stuff your emotions or to numb yourself. I think the goal is, again, to heal the wounds, to become somewhat desensitized to traumas, not desensitized to your life, and to go on an exploration of your body and of your feelings and see what comes up. The great thing about our bodies is they'll tell us what's going on. If you've got a physical pain, and for him, his back pain became a way to put him in check of if he had an unprocessed emotion, if he had something going on in his brain that formulated a feeling, he interpreted it in a way that he didn't like it, but he wasn't willing to express it or process it, and then it got stuffed down into his body would tell him he'd get back pain. So that became his indicator, there's something I'm holding on to. I would use meditation as a way to check in with your body, but not to necessarily stuff or avoid. I also do believe and support you learning how to be an observer and to detach, but I don't think we're supposed to live in detached. We're supposed to live in a state of wholeness, but we all make choices. I mean, we're here to have a good time. We're here to expand. And so the contrast of feeling negative feelings is to stretch you into your expansion. I don't think that our lives are supposed to be, okay, I'm just going to ride this wave. Everything's going to be cool. Everything's going to work out for me, and that's it, and I'm going to die. I think you came forth to expand into something else, into something greater, into something more. Not more as in this lifetime necessarily. I just mean more as the joy of expansion, the joy of contrast, the joy of, Abraham always talks about paintings or music when it comes to contrast. You have to have contrast in a picture. It's only really beautiful if there's contrast. And in music, we need contrast because you wouldn't just play one note and find that enjoyable. It's about the contrast of the different sounds. So I think life is so complex in that way that, again, it's a tool to be used to help you in certain ways, and just like anything else, to not necessarily be abused in certain ways. So I'm definitely in support of becoming a better observer and learning how to be detached from your thoughts. But I don't think I agree with being detached from your feelings. When it comes to our feelings, I mean, feelings are fun. Feelings are fun to have. I like feeling joy and exuberance and freedom and play. And I mean, I think that's what we want. And on the flip side, there are times where it's good to feel angry. I got angry recently and it felt good to let it out. I don't want to stay there, but I want to make sure that if it happens, I have an outlet for it and I don't pretend it's not there. And I think that's where people get caught up in law of attraction, where they don't understand, or they think they're just supposed to affirm it away. I do think there's a balance, and I do think depending on your astrology, depending on how you process emotions, that's going to determine. Because there are a lot of people out there who are a lot of water, who feel a lot of things, who would really benefit from detaching more than a lot of air signs who detach too much, who aren't in contact with their body, who aren't aware they're emotionally eating, aren't aware their back pain is rage. So, one size does not fit all. I would say that I think to marry your two concepts, hopefully this helped a little bit in making sense of that they're not so different. Yeah, I can't imagine. But correct me if I'm wrong, unless they're saying they want you to completely detach and never try to find a positive or negative feeling in life. I'm not, it's going to happen. You're human. That's what you're here to experience. You're alive. You have this range of emotions for a reason. They're also part of your navigation system in your life and your indicator and your attractor. They're your vibration. They're your frequency. You cannot not, there's no like neutral frequency. I mean, there's a neutral in terms of resistance, but you're not going to get to a zero. You are going to be putting out energy emotionally when you sleep, when you are meditating, when you walk around. Like, you have a frequency. That is just in physics. So I want to help people get to a place where they have a more positive, higher frequency so that you can get the things that you want, but not be afraid of the lower frequencies when you're there, because that's helping you create more things too. So again, I hope that answers some of this question. I hope that makes sense to you. Please let me know. I'm probably not going to get to your next two questions until next week or the week after, so I'd love to hear back from you about whether or not this was helpful, and for the rest of you. So Doug, do you have any comments about anything I just said?
Yeah, I would just like Jane to tune in when the shows that I'm on a little bit more.
Jane, I think Doug is feeling sad that you do not listen
but
to
meditation
him.
has helped me detach from my feelings here, so I'm okay. No, I think you hit it. I think you hit it head on. I think your advice is always sage. It's so amazing that even just the concept of this particular type of meditation you may not be familiar with, but just through the definition, you kind of get a feel for what it's all about. And I respect where you're coming from, and I enjoy hearing all of your answers. So I didn't chime in a lot there because I really didn't feel like I had the capacity to add anything more intelligent than you possibly could. I've had experience with meditation. It's been great for me. I encourage people to use meditation as a source to get back in touch with their feelings and understand that your feelings are not you. Your feelings are just your thoughts, and that is it.
Yeah, I think her main concern was marrying the idea of not being attached to or not seeking good or bad feelings versus, not getting attached. Okay, so let me just, one more thing about this, because I'm reading, but the concept of vipassana is not to get attached to good or bad feelings so you don't seek or avoid them. So it's being flexible, and you're not, you're being flexible. Here's my concern though about that.
How can you remain neutral about everything?
Right, exactly. I don't believe that's true, and if you're not seeking something, then you're a victim to what happens and your reaction to that. So here's my caution about that, because you can be open and flexible, but I believe you still are focused on something, and when you focus on something, you bring about an interpretation and therefore a feeling and a frequency about that. You are in response to what you're focused on.
What's wrong with I mean, maybe I'm missing this, but what's the purpose of detaching from your feelings and not having any agenda on whether something is positive or negative for you? Why can't you have an opinion?
No, I think she said the concept is not to get attached to good or bad feelings so you don't seek or avoid them. Right? They just are. It's a different level of intensity when you don't seek or avoid, but at the same time,
I love getting emotional about things.
Right, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily work in your favor.
Well, it doesn't serve you well if you don't handle the interpretation properly, or if you take it personally, or you don't understand that you have the ability to detach from those feelings if you choose to, because it's the story that you're playing in your head that's creating the emotion from the belief that you have.
Well, and part of meditation should be or can be to slow down those thoughts, so you're having less of a conversation in your head. There is part of meditation, really the best part of it is to learn how to have less thoughts.
Well, and
tell less stories.
It's not just that, but it is the curiosity that is brought up from the emotion itself. Like when you get in a fight with somebody and you are angry, it's not I'm going to be anger, and now I'm angry. It's, that's interesting. I wonder what is this feeling like, this anger, and then you actually start to feel the feeling, rather than just react from the feeling and go into rage. The understanding of what your anger is all about. I love the curiosity point, especially when you use meditation to interpret what's going on with that emotion.
So, I'm not feeling complete yet, but I'm close to to my answer here about the attachment. So, I'm in agreement about it generally about attachment, because when you are more attached to the how or to the end result of something, you cut off your ability to co-create at a level where you are allowing you and the true you, source energy, and that which everyone is, and a higher level of yourself in a non-physical form. You're cutting off, like, let's just say here in my current relationship here, right? So if I wasn't willing to surrender a little, I was cutting off my ability to get what I wanted, because I said it had to come in a certain way. And it didn't matter, I mean, in some ways, how it came. What I wanted was what I wanted, and how I wanted to feel, and how I wanted to live, and how I wanted to be. So there's a certain point of the detachment. It's kind of like a surrender, which is great. When it comes to the feelings, though, I couldn't have manifested Doug or the opportunities that we have right now, or even my last relationship, or even the positive things that had happened all along the way that continue happening all the time, unless I don't believe I would have been in alignment with what I wanted without focusing on positive feelings. So I'm not in agreement that you don't want to seek positive feelings. I think that who on this planet doesn't want to seek a positive feeling? I don't think that's realistic. I think that the balance of, if you're trying to seek a positive feeling because you can't handle a negative feeling, there's a difference between trying to numb a negative feeling. That's not the same thing. If somebody is afraid to feel fear and to feel any emotions, then, or to overcompensate by trying to only feel positive all the time, now we have a lack of balance and a fear of just letting it flow. So I hope this is making some sense, and that you're finding your answer in all the things I'm spewing out right now, because I probably could keep going, because unless I would actually experience it or talk to somebody who teaches it and really get clarity on the why of what, like, why, like, in what way do they want this to happen for you? Is it that they believe that people should just act like monks and we should really just go within, and that's okay? That's a choice. You absolutely can make that choice. But there's nothing, and someone can choose that they don't really want anything, that they're at peace all the time. They live a minimalistic life. They are totally content with never feeling immense amount of love, joy, and freedom, because they feel sort of home and at peace, and they live in this very tranquil state. That's cool. That's a choice. So I think at the end of the day, if it works for you, obviously keep doing it. But I would say, I'd love to know your astrology, Jane, because that would help me, again, tailor this a little bit more specifically to you. Because again, all tools are not right for everybody. Some tools, I used to get really agitated when I'd hear a lot of business people, entrepreneurial business coaches and things, like, yell at everybody because they wanted everybody to be in action, be in action, be in action. Well, that's not the right advice for people who are already in action. The people who are already in action half the time are addicted to being in chaos, and to being a martyr, and to being a workaholic. So those people need to learn how to trust and surrender and do the absolute opposite. And then the people who don't take any action, that's who needs to hear that advice. So again, one size does not fit all. It's all customizable, and it's all usable. It all can help you grow. It's just making sense for yourself what you get out of it, and then not getting too wrapped up in it. It's in its totality of how you relate to it. And we're going to talk about this on Thursday on Women, Men, and Relationships. And Doug and I are going to talk about it probably at another time about Imago, because there are a few things I heard that I don't agree with. But I didn't throw the whole thing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't agree with a very, very basic concept. but I don't need to because the tools are still applicable and still amazing, and I still agree with 95% of the other things. Now, this one's a pretty big one, but it doesn't matter because there are other tools that can help me with that, or help other people with that. So pick what works for you, focus on that, release the rest, try not to have any resistance to it being 100% like all in. And then just enjoy what you obviously get benefit from it. So, really just focus on the benefit you get from the parts that you get from it. One more quick story. I went to yoga. I don't do a lot of yoga, and it's not because I don't like yoga. There's a lot of yoga that, like positions, depending on what it is, that a lot of people aren't built to do, and so it just depends on. And then a lot of yoga people don't know science about the body. And if you're a yoga person, I don't mean to offend you, but I've been to a number of yoga classes where they're telling you to fire a muscle that's not firing. So, and again, I know that's one person. That doesn't mean everybody. But if we look at the history of yoga, yoga was a religion before it was exercise. So when all of a sudden we combine meditation and religion with exercise, I've got some opinions about the quality and the accuracy of the exercise science that we're using in now this meditation and practice. So, I teach yoga when I travel, and when I'm doing, I teach my form of a combination of yoga, and because it's still, to me, scientifically based and accurate, and we still do the meditation piece. But when it comes to, again, I went to this class, and this guy, he was lovely, but he did not know science, and he'd say things that were completely wrong, and I just breathed through it. So even though this man was, he's nice, and he gave a pretty decent yoga class, I really did enjoy it, but even though he didn't really know science, I just made a decision that I was not going to focus on that. And so, it really depends on when you're looking at, is this of benefit? You can just decide that here are the things that it really does for me that I really enjoy, and it helps me in this way, and I don't really need to focus on the other things. Or you can also wait to see if your opinion changes. Sometimes we learn something and initially we go, no, that's not what I want, or no, I don't like that, or I don't agree with that, but then after you do it for a while, you have a different relationship with it.
Kind of like gluten-free or dairy-free eating.
Which we're going to address on a different show.
Oh, geez. You have so many shows, JJ. So many shows.
But yes. So Jane, I hope this helped. Please let me know. I'm going to wrap up because we've gone a little longer than I thought I would. So I hope today's show helped everybody at least get some information about these different concepts. And again, if you want another book to read, Michael A. Singer's Untethered Soul. He also has The Surrender Experiment. I think I've talked about it before. Another amazing book that you will read in one sitting. The Surrender Experiment is amazing. And by the way, it's all law of attraction. His detachment from wanting anything got him everything he ever wanted, and it is played out in the Surrender Experiment. So anyway, and he used meditation as a way to detach, but I believe I don't know what his astrology is, I feel like he's an air sign, but he detached in a way, and he was a pretty easygoing guy. And anyway, it's a great book, so recommend it to everybody. If you have any more questions, I will take them on Facebook, through Instagram, or through an email.
So what you're saying is, don't focus on whether Jane listens to the episodes that I'm on or not, and she will end up listening to the episode that I'm on because I'm not attached to the answer.
I'm saying it's not about anyone else. And what is it that you really want, Doug Sandler? You would like to be liked by everybody? Not going to happen. because. So you can send blessings to those who may not who may not love you.
Jane, I love you. Blessings on you.
Okay, honey. Bringing some comedy to the Tuesday show. All right, everyone. We'll check back in on Thursday. Come listen to Women, Men, and Relationships if you want to learn more about this amazing therapy of Imago and learn some tools you can use in your relationship as well, no matter if you're doing great or if you're not doing great. It really can help everybody. So have a great rest of your week, and see you Thursday.
Bye, everybody.